Hi, hello, namaste, vanakkam, adab. This is your Baganta Khadir. Today I'm going to discuss about what is meant by white box testing, black box testing and grey box testing in the software testing, and who are all going to perform these three type of testings in the software testing. So don't stop watching. Testing topics loading. Yeah, in software testing, we have three kind of testings. Those are we are calling as a testing methodologies. In that, first I'm going to explain you about what is meant by white box testing. Here, the white box testing is nothing but you can see in the picture like we can it is done by the development team, so they will have full access of the source code. For example, from the picture we can observe that we can able to see the uh, developers written code over there. So what the developers will do is in this testing, the developer after completion of the coding by looking into this particular code and logic of the code, they will perform their testing, like they need to confirm that whatever they develop that is working perfectly or not. So we can call this as a unit testing as well, because before the code is moving into the QA people, I mean software testers, the developers itself, they are testing from their side by looking into the logic of the code. So here they will have full access for the source code by looking into the whatever they written the code, like whatever the logics they've written for the particular application. By looking into those logics, they will perform the testing from their side, and then after getting confirmation like if it is working fine, then they will move this particular logic to the QA team to test from the QA people perspective. Okay, that's why I'm saying here it is 100% code coverage. That means like with this white box testing, we can confirm that we have covered the 100% code, like without missing any functionalities, whatever the requirements which we got from the client side. So for all those requirements, we are covering the code. By looking into this particular code, where developers will confirm that it is a 100% code coverage. So as I said earlier, the white box testing is done by the development team after completion of the coding by looking into the logic of that particular code and the flow of the code. Like for example, they will write some conditions like if something is present in some particular element is present, then the time it has to move to that particular block or particular button should be enabled. For example, if you are taking if user is entering the valid username, then that time the password field should be enabled and user can able to perform the enter the password over there. So the same thing by write, they will write the code for the entering the valid username in the username field. So by entering that, the logic has to go to the password field. So but they in white box testing, they will have full access to the source code. So they will look into that code logic, like from where to where it is navigating. So once if the user is entering the perfect username, then it has to move to the password field. Okay. So the same way we are saying it from the user perspective, but the same way the developers they will do, they will look into the each line of the code, and they will confirm that after entering the perfect username, the field is going to enable by the password field. So like that, they will have the complete access of the source code. By looking into the source code, they will perform the testing on that. So the most probably the white box testing is suitable for the algorithm based testing. Okay, by we will have some flow chart kind of things, right? Like if the condition is getting failed, we will moving to the by having the branches, and we are moving to the next block. So the same way, this white box testing is suitable for the algorithm based testing. So for white box testing, we will have other names as well. Those are like a transparent testing, a glass box testing, because the glass itself, we can able to see the whatever content inside in the glass box, right? The same way it is a glass box testing, because we can able to access the complete source code in the white box testing. So that's why we are calling it as a glass box testing and a clear box testing. So everything is clear here, like we can able to see the each line of the code from the developer's perspective. So we are calling it as a clear box testing. And as I said earlier, unit testing, before the build is moving to the QA people, the developers are getting conformed with their written code, that is called as a unit testing. So obviously it is a code based testing because we can able to see the all the codes which we written for the particular functionality, and logic based. So the logic based is nothing but we are checking here in the white box testing the particular logic is working or not. For example, if we are considering that particular username and password, if username is perfect match, then uh, it is going to the next black, and it is from the if black it is going to perform the functionality like the password field should be enabled. If username is like incorrect username, at that time it is going to the else black. So we are calling it as a logic based testing. So from my perspective, it is going to white box testing is going to conduct by developers itself because they only have the complete source code access over there. So we are calling it as a 100% code coverage. So the next thing is like black box testing. Here is the point, like uh, it is like 100% requirement coverage. As I said earlier, the white box testing is 100% code coverage, but here it is 100% requirement coverage because after getting the requirements from the business analyst or from the client side, what the testing people are doing is they are writing the test cases, right? So by with that they are going to perform their testing in this black box testing. So that means it is a functional testing, so completely we can call it as a functional testing. So here we are going to apply our inputs to the executable program, and we are getting the outputs. It depends upon the output which we are getting. We are confirming that it is working perfectly or not. So whereas in the white box testing, by looking into the logic, they are confirming that if it is working fine or not. But coming back to the black box testing here, uh, completely it is going to test by the test engineers and customer side. So we are giving the valid or invalid inputs to the particular executable program, that means particular application, and we are getting the outputs over there. So this particular black box testing is done by the professional test engineers by looking into the logic of the application, like whatever they written. But here we can say doesn't have the access to the source code of the application, just we will have the logic of the application. So we don't have much knowledge on the coding perspective. Okay, but in the white box testing they will have the complete coding knowledge, but here coming back to the black box testing, they don't have complete knowledge of the coding itself. Okay, but they will have the requirement in their hand. Okay, by looking into that particular requirement and whatever the logic written by the development team, here we are going to apply our inputs to the application. Okay, application perspective. For example, if you are taking the Gmail, okay, there we need to enter first the username, that is the user email over there, perfect user email, and then we need to click on next, and then we need to enter the password, then only our Gmail is getting open. So here we don't have the logic behind this particular username, password, and next button click, all these things, right? Whatever the code written in the developers, we don't have access, but we have only access for the application. So that's why I'm saying it is done by the completely by test engineers or customers. So they don't have the access of the source code of the application. So this testing is carried out by giving the input to the application and examining the outputs to be obtained. For example, if I'm giving the perfect username, so I can able to move to the next page, that is entering the password field. Okay, if I'm giving the wrong input like username, then the time the application behaves like it will throw an error like user friendly error through the customer, like you have entered an incorrect username. So these kind of inputs we are going to provide, like valid invalid inputs we are going to provide to the application. That's why we are calling this black box testing is approaches. We are looking into the logic of the application. So the other names for this black box testing, like opaque testing and closed box. That means we don't have access for the source code, right? That's why we are calling it as a closed box testing. And the third one is like functional testing. Here completely we are going to provide the inputs to the application, and we are examining the outputs obtained, right? So that's why we are calling it as a functional testing. So the black box testing is going to perform by the test engineers or customers by applying the inputs to the executable program and examining the outputs whatever it is obtained. So that's why we are calling the black box testing as 100% requirement coverage. The next thing is like a gray box testing. So here we can say uh, the test engineers or customers, they will have the limited access of the source code. Okay, they don't have the complete access of the source code, but they will have some kind of limited access to the source code. So example, we can say this gray box testing as a database testing is a good example for this. So for the database testing, we are accessing the our database tables, right? So we can say this as a limited access to the source code. Even the data is also written into the logic, but we are not going to access the complete logic whatever written for the application. Just we are going to access our database, like a data tables we are going to access, and we are performing our testing with that particular database. So that's why we are calling the gray box testing as it is a combination of white box and black box testing, and it is done by the test engineers or developers. Whoever want to be test, they can test. The most probably this testing will be done by the test engineers only, but developers will also look into this kind of testing, like they need to check whether the data proper data navigation is happening for the application or not. So those kind of things they will do from the developers perspective. So this testing is carried out by referring to the design documents and data flow diagrams, whatever we got it from the requirement. So from there, we are performing some designs, right, to develop a application. By looking into those design documents, we are going to perform our gray box testing and data flow diagrams as well. So from where to where, like from which table to which table the data is getting, and from which table the user is going to utilize that particular application. So those kind of things will be available in the data flow diagram. So by looking into that particular data flow diagram, we are going to perform the gray box testing over here. So based on these documents, the test engineer will design the test cases with the initial stage of the test case design. They will, by looking into these particular data flow diagrams and design documents, they will design the test cases and half of the application to be tested, because before the UI development, the database kind of things will be happen, right? Backend testing, we can able to perform our testing from the backend. So the backend in the sense like a database kind of things. So that's why I'm saying here half of the application to be tested before we are going to the UI testing, like the application in the from website side or from the uh, like mobile application, whatever it may be. So before testing it in the UI perspective, we are going to complete the half of the testing from the gray box testing. Okay, so that's why I'm saying it is a combination of the white box and black box testing, because we will have limited access for the source code. Thanks for watching the full video. Please like, share and subscribe. I will come up with the new topic in the next video. Until then, thank you so much everyone. Bye bye.